Hi folks, this is just a temporary audio to answer the questions that folks have sent in here regarding the Kefir. And so just sorry about that, it's not professional and just excuse me, but I screwed up here. Last March of 2020 my wife and I got seriously ill with a virus, possibly COVID-19 no doubt, but we didn't go to the hospitals because we were afraid to get COVID-19 if it wasn't COVID-19, and it's taken a year. It's been over a year and we're still recovering, and it almost killed us. And a lot of people, not many people do die from COVID-19, but it's the ones that live, that many people suffer long-term problems. And so I've not been able to make YouTubes and help people to explain what's more about this. So anyways, and plus I didn't know what the heck I'm doing. When I started making these YouTubes, I didn't know anything about this. I would check my YouTube account here, and I'm so stupid that I didn't realize that you have to, like, held for review. And I thought it's funny, I got like 7,000 views on this here Kefir, and nobody asked any questions. And so just here about an hour ago, I find out that, like, like there was an area for comments, but it wasn't, anyways. So now I feel horrible about this. Questions go back 8 months, 9 months, and I didn't answer your guys' questions. And so, anyways, this is the answers to the questions here and more, hopefully. And so it's a hack job, but this is good. So first question I see here is one from Adam 3D, and it is like, do Kefir grains form from this method? And no, Kefir grains do not form from this method, and you cannot get Kefir grains to form from this method ever, ever, ever. There's no way. And it irritated me at first as I tried everything. I thought I had Kefir grains many times, even little ones coming. I tried everything, and I'd put probiotic pills in also, and mixtures of this and mixtures of that, and it's just no. And why it bothered me is because, we can do anything on this planet. People can go to the moon, whatever. Let's just say we can invent computers, so forth. But you can't make Kefir grains. Like, give me a break. It doesn't make sense. How can with all our technology, no one can make Kefir grains unless you previously already have Kefir grains from like hundreds of years ago. And it didn't make sense to me. And I researched it like crazy. Like, you can research it all the deepest you can, and history goes way back. And Kefir grains originally came from, let's say, the Russian area, Russian region. How they're formed, no one knows exactly. It's surmised that probably, like, people carry things around in intestines of animals and guts of animals, and also the skins of animals, animal skins, and they put everything from wine in there to their milk. And it's kind of a really weird thing, but I've done tons of research into this before I got sick here about a year and a half ago. And the Kefir you make with Kefir grains, certainly it's very good for people, no doubt. But there's three items in there that, as I understand it, read it, and maybe in the future I'll put a YouTube out on it, that are harmful to humans. That could be, even if I remember right, possibly give cancer to people, but in such small minute amounts, I'm sure it wouldn't. But the grains, they're formed somewhere up in the Russian area, and there's everything. How it's formed is a mystery to mankind. It's retarded. And it could be this. In Kefir grains, there's everything like funguses, molds, and of course the bacteria, and there's a lot in there. Some of it's good and some of it's bad. I'd say 95% of it's good, but it's formed, no doubt, the grains with the combination, and a certain, it was something that got in there possibly from the intestines of an animal that was not normal, because you just can't, like, you can take an animal skin and put milk or whatever you want into it, or intestines, what have you, and they can't make Kefir grains unless you start with Kefir grains. So anyways, this is super long, but this is what the question was. And so then it spread around the world. The Kefir grains that originated from Russia spread around the world about 200 years ago, about 300 at most, to all over the whole world. And they've got adulterated into different formulas also. Each country has different bacteria in their areas, and so when people make, like say you got some kefir grains that originally from Russia, and like say you take them to Japan, some take them to Africa, some take them to South America. The people that are making them there, they change. They're different bacteria. Maybe a dog coughed near them, or maybe a human coughed, or maybe an animal, a pig ran by and shook himself off, and different bacteria went into theirs, and so they're different. They're different cultures from different. You can't just keep it the same. Things can add into it, unless you kept it in a sterile solution, which people never do, and they can't do unless you're in a laboratory. So that's the story about the kefir grains, basically. Isn't it odd though? It just really bothers me to this very day that mankind can't make them. Can't they figure it out? I mean, they know the exact ingredients of of what's in kefir, but they just put them all together and just make kefir grains without kefir grains. But isn't that odd? So no. So yeah, but one good thing about the kefir you buy from the stores is it has the certain bacteria, and the beneficial bacteria, and of course there's not near as many. There's no funguses and molds and so forth and different things in it, but they're beneficial to our our body, our intestines, and so forth. So it is a benefit. It's a good thing. Also, to just make your own kefir from the store-bought kefir. Now, this is leading into some more questions here. I'm hoping. It looks like it is, but you can. So let me just pause this and read this another question here. Okay, well, a person asks here, can you impregnate the next batch? So let's say, for instance, you buy some kefir, fresh kefir from the store, and I stress fresh, and 99% of the time it will be a good one. I bought fresh kefir that expires in, like, say 2-3 weeks, and it was dead when I got it. That's very rare. Buy 50 bottles and maybe one will be bad, but it can happen. So, but you get yourself some good fresh kefir, and make yourself a batch of it, and then it turns out great. It's wonderful. And then, but a person wonders this. Miss Glory official asks, can you make another batch from that batch? And yes, you can. I've done that, and you can continue to make it and make another batch, and just save a little bit, and then make another batch from that. You don't have to buy the store-bought stuff anymore. You just make another batch, and then take a little bit out of that, another batch, make another batch, and on. So yes, you can, and you can do that forever. They ask us, can you do it forever? Yes. I mean, what's forever? I've only done it, for whatever, like say months. And the reason being, I don't do it that way anymore, for a couple of reasons. Now, if you want to save money, that's a great way to do it, and I'm all for saving money. But I figure the way I do it, which I'll tell you about in a second, is saves you money, but also it ensures that you're getting a proper balance of the different bacteria. And what I mean by that is, when you buy it from the store, I'm sure they have it in different. It's all measured and mixed. That all those, let's say there's 4 bacteria in there, or there's 10 bacteria or 12, depending on what kefir you're buying. That will be what's in there, and in good amounts, I imagine. And they don't tell you maybe the exact percentages. Usually, the first item has the most of it in, but let's just say we don't know. Let's say there's 10 bacteria in your kefir. You can assume that maybe there's 10% of each in that kefir. Now, what I feel happens, and could happen, and I don't have any evidence of it, but I have some evidence regarding when a person makes sauerkraut. There's different bacteria that strive and that are stronger at different times when you're making sauerkraut. And so the first 48 hours, there's a certain bacteria that starts really going wild. And then after that, another bacteria takes over more. So the others are still there, but they're not dominant. And different bacteria grow throughout when you're making sauerkraut. Now, and also, I just feel that also, just like in someone's stomach, there's different bacteria that can become dominant and take over. And so I feel if you're just going to, if you make your first batch from the store-bought, that when your batch, hopefully that they would when they're competing with one another, the bacteria, one won't overtake the other too much, so to speak. But let's say, in nature, one of the bacteria of the 10, let's say you have your Kefir from the store, it's stronger than of the other bacteria, and let's say you just keep making it over and over again, your next batch may have more of the one bacteria which has a stronger ability to survive and live, and it might outdo the weaker bacteria, and then the next batch it'll be more stronger and take over. Well, theoretically, who knows? I mean, within 5 or 10 batches you've made, it may not be a proper ratio, and you'll have too much of a dominant bacteria in there. And I like to have a whole variety of bacteria in my gut, just like I imagine you folks do. And so that's why I'll buy it from the store and then make as many batches as I can until it starts to go old. And for my original batch, I'll just put a little bit. I say put 25% in my video to the milk, but you don't have to put that much in. But I told people to put 25% in to make sure it works, because you get really weak Kefir, and it takes forever to make it. If it's weak, or it won't work at all, which is very rare. It will work eventually if it doesn't go old first. But yeah, so if you put a quarter in there, it's really going to give you that extra bacteria and work better for people. But yeah, and so then that's what I'll do. I'll just maybe make 2, 3. Well, it's not 2, 3 generations, but just maybe make Kefir 2, 3, 4, 5 times, whatever, until it expires your Kefir, and then go buy another one, and then make. So you're saving maybe 5 times. Instead of buying 5 bottles, you buy 1 bottle. And so I recommend that's your best bet to do it, and you'll get a good mix of bacteria that you're pretty sure that's not there's nothing dominant taking over in there. So that's that. And if I remember right, there's another question regarding the yogurt maker. Let's see here. Yeah, that's right. There's a question from Mike01, and he asks, can you make the Kefir in a yogurt maker? And it's definitely, that's the way to do it. That's the way to go at it. Just go down to your local store and buy a yogurt maker. That's the best way for people to do it. And then, can you reuse the leftover Kefir juice to make another starter? It says. And if yes, how many times can you reuse it? And I just answered that question there, Mike. And so, yeah, but to folks, I mean, the reason I didn't mention you can use a yogurt maker way back in my first video, I just wanted this to be super simple, that anyone could just make it. Because a lot of people don't have a yogurt maker, and there's other ways to make it too. If you keep it warm, maybe put it in the fridge or put it in an oven. Like say, preheat your oven to like 150 or something, and that's too hot. But just preheat it, at the lowest level it'll go to, and if it's at about 100 degrees, then maybe put the jar into the oven overnight or wrap it up. There's just tons of ways of doing it. I've got a weird concoction where I have a big container with a fish tank heater in it, and it keeps it at about 111 degrees, the water, and that works perfect. And it makes it in about 4 or 5 hours, which is great. You don't want to wait a day or two. But like I say, not everybody can just do these type of things. But I would recommend that anyone who wants to make this, just go buy a yogurt maker for about $30, and it's a pain in that because they're like small little jars, But what are you going to do, eh? So yeah, that's the answer there to that there. And let's see, I think I have another question here. So okay, I've got a question from Raya. And she's wondering, wouldn't the probiotics in the store bought Kefir die by the time it reaches our home? Question. Like if we order from Amazon. Now, I'm not sure about ordering Kefir from Amazon. I mean, you can probably order starters and mixes and grains or whatever, I'm sure. But maybe, I don't know. I'd have to look here. But just off, maybe you can. But I mean, it could be dead, I guess. I imagine but it's got to be refrigerated. But yeah, you buy it at your local store. It won't be dead by the time you get it home for certain. It usually lasts a couple of weeks. But when I say it lasts a couple of weeks, this is a good question here that you've asked, because this might help you a bit too, and others with this type of thing. Is this? Yeah, I mean, just because it's got an expiry date on it doesn't mean it's still good. That's the problem with Kefir. I found, like, I've been making hundreds and hundreds of batches for years now, of course, and so I'm glad I've got this. I've learned the hard way, but it's when you get it, if it's a real fresh batch, and when you say fresh batch, each batch is different, which is crazy. And I don't know what goes with these stores or how they're, where they get it. It's not the stores only, really. It's when they're making it. I have had it where it's so strong that when I put it to make, I usually wait about 5-6 hours. It takes about 6 hours for me to make the kefir. And I've had it where it'd be done in 2 hours. And it's like, whoa, I don't want it maybe quite so strong. And what have you. We all got our preferences. And then other times you buy it brand spanking new, bring it home, and you do the same exact recipe, same amount. It'll take like 8 hours, sometimes like maybe 10 hours even. And that's heated at 110 degrees in my special, kefir maker. And it's just like practically dead. Oh, it just gets me frustrated. I would like to take it back, and I could, I guess. But what's he gonna say? The expiry date is in like 2-3 weeks. They're like, it's good. Well, how are you gonna prove it's not good? But it won't work. It's just dead, man, from the where they made it, whether it be organic. I've had it even from, like, I buy organic, kefir too, and it's made especially from farms and so forth. And I buy a variety of other ones too. I'll get into that too, which is a good thing a person should think about. And it's dead, or if it's not dead completely, it's very weak, and it really bugs me because, like I say, I just usually drink it then. I just drink it down, and I won't make kefir from it when I find out it's really weak. Or I will just wait about 10 hours. It will eventually make it, because there's some life in it, eh? And it's funny, you could just leave it in there for 10-12 hours at 110 degrees, 111, 115 max. It'll die at about 120, but 115 is real sweet. But be on the safe side, keep it maybe 110, and it takes forever. But most batches are good. When you buy it from the store, it's pretty good most of the time, I must say. So I don't want to be too tough on the stores. And it's difficult to keep this stuff alive, I guess, from from the farm and so forth, and who knows about each batch. But okay, let me see. I'm kind of losing track of where I was and what I was going to tell. So I'll just pause this again here. Okay, now I've got a question here from Miss C. Glory Official. And they ask about how long. The longer, it says, apparently I said, the longer you leave it in, the stronger it will be. And they're wanting, stronger in what way maybe, and how much longer. Well, what I mean is, like, the longer you leave it. So let's say it was regularly. Let's say I make my batch in 6 hours on an average, because I told you there's no such thing as average with this stuff when you buy it. You can kind of tell. Anyways, I'll get into this. It's hard to answer without pictures and so forth, but I don't like it too sour. I prefer to have it just kind of in between. Now, when you have it that way, you're not going to have as much bacteria and probiotics in it. The longer you leave it, the more bacteria that grows as it eats the lactose, and you'll have way more. It'll be very powerful. But it tastes like it's not so good neither. But I mean, who cares? Eh? If you want to have it for extra strong, and do it. You might want to mix a little flavoring in it to it, a little syrup of some sort, maybe a blueberry syrup or what have you. Make it taste a little bit better. But and how much longer is that's just I can't really answer that. Because you just have to. It depends how strong it is. You kind of have to taste it. That's what I do anyways. I will taste it, and you can tell by looking at it. I can tell by the way I like mine by looking at it. It's just, it starts separating, and kind of just looks a little bit not so smooth. The longer you leave it, of course, it really starts separating. And so you have to just make your batches and learn the hard way, your own way. And it's not a hard way, because you just leave it a little longer if you want it, or if it's too strong, well, too bad. You just have to drink it down and have extra probiotics. And so that's the answer to that. And but at one stage, you have to watch it, because it has to feed and live on the lactose. And if you let it go too long, it's going to get, there's nothing for it to eat, and it could start dying. So let me just pause this for a second, because I'm dying. I just need some apple juice, some sugar here. I'm dying myself here, and then I'll continue on this here. Okay, I'm back here. Now, yeah, this is where it gets a little complicated too, and it goes back into this Miss Gloria Official's question about how much stronger and so forth. And so, yeah, if you leave it too long, it'll run out of food to eat and grow, and it can start dying theoretically, and so you don't want to maybe let it even go too far. And because another reason is, I just don't know how to put this in words here, but just imagine this, like when I make it, I don't make it to the end. I mean, you could theoretically, you could make it till it has no more food left, and then it'll start dying. And so I make mine in the middle, let's just say, not too sour, you know, just kind of in the middle, because once you make it and you stop it where I stop it, I put it in the fridge. I don't stop it. Theoretically, you don't stop it. I mean, it's still going to grow a little bit in the fridge, a little bit, and so it still has to be alive if you want to keep it for several days. Now, if you want to drink it down in one batch in one day, then that's good. Then you can let it go really strong and I guess drink the whole thing down. But if you leave it in the fridge, you see, I make it medium, like say 6 hours. And then remember, forget the 6 hour business. You folks who are making out there and leave it on the counter, it could take a day or two. But you just have to experiment. Whatever you're using, you have to figure out how strong you want it. And you know, and it can't answer that question. But I make it in the middle. Let's just say 6 hours is medium strength. And once I stop that and I put it into my container and put that in the fridge, it's nice where I like it. But as you leave it over hours, and let's say it stays in there a day or two, it's still growing, and you'll see it'll start bubbling, you know, even a little bit in the fridge, and because it's still alive and eating all that lactose and it's still growing. And so that's why it's kind of good also, if you're not going to drink it all in one day, to let it, you know, let there be some sugar in there. Don't make it too bitter, so it won't die out on you. Okay, so I think that really explains that really well, and that goes back to also with the store-bought stuff. Like that's another reason too, where you've got to watch. Like it's hard for them because I mean, they have to have theirs quite sugary sometimes, and a little sugary anyway, so that they put sometimes like this. That's another. This leads into more questions, but you know, I mean, you can buy it with the flavors, of course, and they add sugar, and there's obviously the natural lactose in the non-flavor and the natural organic kefir too, which it eats at. But it's hard for them to make the stuff at their factory or what have you, their farm, and then just ship it off to the store. And meanwhile, it's still growing. It has to, and so they can't make it too strong because, you know, it'll die out then, and maybe 2-3 days after it gets to the store, it's run out of lactose and it starts dying. It will be dead. So it's good to be middle of the road. Okay, that answers the question pretty good. If you're going to make it, maybe just, if you're going to keep it in the fridge for a couple days or 3 days or even 4 days, what have you, just make it just average length, and then it will be alive for you and it'll be really good. So let me pause and see if there's any more questions here. Okay, yes, and double, you know, questioning with this Miss Glory official. You say, how do you know, you know, it's a weak batch? I think I answered this already, but I'll just quickly reiterate quickly. You know, if there's such a thing as quickly with me, but weak batch from the store. You know, how do you know? Well, is because when you go to make your kefir, it'll just sit there, and if you do it my way, it'll sit there for about 10, or a yogurt maker, it could sit there for 10 hours and there'll be nothing. It'll just be the same as warm milk. It'll just taste like warm milk and is dead. There's nothing in there. So that's how you'll know it just tastes like warm milk. If it's alive, well, you'll know the difference. You'll taste it, you know, you'll taste it. You can taste kefir, you know what it tastes like. It's more bitter. And if you make it really strong, like you say, it is really bitter. So that's how you'll know, okay? If you got a weak batch from the store, just leave it go forever. Well, if you don't on the counter, you're in trouble because, you know, after a couple of days, like I said in my video, if I remember right, you know, if it doesn't work after a couple of days, you know, it's gonna start going sour and not good. So it's a bad situation. When you get the stuff in the store and it's weak, take it back and complain, and just get another batch. And I don't know, I found, here's this another thing which I mentioned, I found for some odd reason the non-flavored kefir lasts longer. I don't know, maybe, I mean, they have to put slight preservatives in. When I say preservatives, it's usually natural, like citric acid or something like that, to preserve it. And I think that, of course, acid, you know, bacteria doesn't like acid too much, and so it's harder on the bacteria. And so I like to buy a little bit of a flavor, like strawberry or blueberry. You know, it just gives that kefir a little bit of a. Even when you're making it alone, you know, you put 25% in, like say, into your milk. You know, it's not gonna be too strong when you make your kefir, but it just gives it that little extra touch. It would taste a little bit better when you make it without any flavor. I don't like it so much. But if you want, that's the best. It seems over the years I found that it lasts longer, it's stronger. If it's with no flavor in it, just plain old bland kefir. So that's something. Okay, now I just thought of something. Maybe I should mention this before. Just let me pause. Yeah, there may be another question here too, but I better get this off my mind quickly and tell you folks about this before I forget. What I like to do too is use different kefirs, mix them. You know, mix 2 or 3 together, which is really great because, you know, I mean, it's just like each one has sometimes different, and sometimes you get overlap too, which is a pain in the neck. But there's some bacteria are really beneficial. I can't get into it in this here audio because it's just really deep. But there's this one, I call it Johnsy, but there's this one kefir that there's this one bacteria in a certain brand, and it's only got like 4 little bacteria in there, but that Johnsy one is in there, and it is amazing bacteria. And I can't remember right exactly verbatim, even close to what it does, but it somehow takes, if I remember right, and this is not right, don't even take this as truth until I can confirm it in another audio, but in the gut it takes like cholesterol or something, and it binds together somehow and makes it so that it isn't absorbed, you know, into your blood. And for me, I've got high cholesterol naturally. Like, I'm very health conscious, and some people, they can eat all the cholesterol they want and it doesn't bother their cholesterol levels. But I've had high cholesterol levels all my life, basically, since I found out about that, and so I try not to have too much cholesterol. And so I really like that one. So like I say, you know, you can, what I do is I take 2 or 3 of them, and now most times I just have 2 different store-bought kefirs, and I'll impregnate them together. Actually, I do 3. Actually, it's true, I do have 3. I usually on an average here, and so that's nice, you know, because, but you just make sure, of course, that they're not the same. It's pointless. You check out all these Latin names and go through them and make sure you're getting a nice little, you know, variety, and then put the 3 together, a little bit of each into your jar. So you put your milk in there, like I'm just looking at a picture of my little cute little silly YouTube video, and then you just put, you know, pour a little bit of the one kefir from the store, and put a little bit in the other one from the store, and another, and 2 types or 3 types or 4 types or more, and then, like I say, of course that could be quite expensive and a real pain if you got too many. But I do actually do it with 3 of them. But you know, you have to once every 3 weeks maybe I have to buy kefir. Once every month I buy kefir from the store, and so what, you know, it's expensive certainly, but you know, you can make tons of it in that whole 3-week period. You make tons of it, and it's so good for you, as you know, as most people know. So yeah, so that's what you can do, is mix them together. And of course, then again too, you could maybe make 2 or 3 generations down if you didn't want to go buy it all the time. You want to save some money, you can make 2 or 3 generations. But I really believe that eventually one of them is going to be dominant more than the others, and it might be, you know, better to have a nice variety instead of having, you know, one of them that's 90% dominant and the others are like 1% of this one, 1% of that one, and yeah, whatever, you know. So that's what I want to touch on there. So that's something you folks can think about also, which is really something. But there are some that if you do research on this stuff, which not many people want to waste their time doing all this heavy research in, because it is a real pain, but you've got to, you take and look up each of those bacteria. You take the Latin name, look it all up, each one, and then find out what that one bacteria does, and you'll be amazed that some of them are very, very amazing. It's amazing what that one will do, and you think, wow, I want that one. And so, you know, and it's a pain in the neck, because like I say, you know, the one I buy for that Johnsy is like, the others I've already got them, and my other ones is like, I gotta spend like $10 on just that one. But you know, and another thing quickly I'm going to talk about too quickly is, you know, like over the years, like I and like this is not scientifically accurate, possibly what I'm telling you right now, just from my experience. Um, like I started using, like I used to get canker sores all the time, all my whole life. I get canker sores, and I've had stomach problems for years and years. And when I started taking Kefir, for some odd reason, I quit getting canker sores. I don't get it. I don't understand. But it was wonderful because they're very painful if you know it. They're like I get them like every 2 weeks for sure. It lasts like 7 to 10 days. But I thought over the years, like sometimes I get lazy. I thought, well, I've got my gut in really good shape. I've got my microbiome, whatever, all built up to the way I want it. It's really good. I think I'm going to slack off. It should be okay, and everything's alive in there, and everything's cool. And I don't think I need to keep on inoculating myself. Just leave it. But I tell you, no. These other bacteria that are alive in your guts, whether they're from nature, whether they're from something you're eating, or something that was obviously pre-existing, possibly from when you were born, or you had to begin with, they'll start taking over. And these guys you take from the store, the stuff you buy your Kefir, you best just be doing it your whole life long, according to my opinion. Not to say you have to have it every day, possibly. I don't know. There's no one who would have the answer maybe for 100 years, or someone's got to do some research on this in 20, 30 years. I don't know. But in my experience, I found that you just should be taking it on a regular basis. If you want to keep if you find that it's agreeing with you and it's making you healthy, keeping you feeling good, your guts, just stick with it. Don't just get off and think, well, my guts are all better now, and it's all got the bacteria in there, and now they can just live in my intestines. No, they'll lose. There'll be different combinations, and different dominant ones will take over, whether good or bad, and then you kind of back to square one. And okay, man, this is me tiring for people listening, and let me pause it here. Okay, yeah, I'm going to mention something which maybe some of you folks have experienced, or maybe haven't. And I'm not going to give any medical advice whatsoever. I would never do that, because when I say medical advice, every human body is so different. You can't, you just can't. There's not one size fits all. But some people maybe will find that different Kefirs they buy at the store, believe it or not, will agree with them, and some won't. And it's really weird, because I remember trying a different Kefir. And I was sick. It made me sick. My stomach, it made me sick. And I thought, well, I don't like wasting. I don't like wasting things. But I thought I'm gonna just take a little bit every day, this and that. And anyway, long story short is, I was finally able to get used to it, which I shouldn't have done. I should have just given up on it. But once I got used to it, it's good. I think it's doing my stomach good. Now, people have all sorts of theories on this, and I don't believe them when I say I don't believe them. I believe them possibly they're true, but I've never heard that they're scientifically proven, and so I don't go by personal testimonies, and I don't expect you should go by my personal testimonies of anything either, because it's just one person's opinion. Unless you have some facts to back it up, there's no way of knowing. But some people say, well, that just means maybe your guts were really out of sync or something, or you had a lot of poison in your system, and that'll just clear it out, and on and on and on. Yeah, maybe it's true. Maybe it is true. But it's also possibly true that, our guts are not used to certain bacteria. Each country, a person can live in one country, they travel to another country, and they get upset with eating foods or drinking water that might have different bacteria that they're not used to. And so a person has to be careful. If something doesn't agree with you, maybe just skip it. But with me, what I did was I pushed through with like this one organic one. It had only 4 bacteria in it, but it was not agreeing with me. But now, I've been having it for years, and it agrees with me, and it's great as can be. And so also, if you're making a batch too, if you're used to having a certain strength, and then you make it really strong, you're like, I want to make it really strong and have tons of bacteria in there, it might not agree with you right off the bat. Maybe it's too much, bacteria. And of course, different people have different medical conditions too. Some people maybe shouldn't have an overdose of bacteria in their guts. They have autoimmune problems or what have you. So that's why I like middle of the road, down the line. Just person should just do things in moderation. Okay, so let me pause this again and see if there's something I can tie a loose end up here. Okay, yeah, here's something I'll just quickly add into. Maybe folks already even have experimented and know this. I find that the 2% milk, it makes a much nicer, a nice thicker, creamier Kefir. You can use certainly skim milk at 1%. 2% is really nice and sweet, beautiful. And when I say sweet, it's just nice consistency. So that's what I would recommend doing. And also another thing I do, and not all the time though, and it makes it even better I find, but I only do it about 50% of the time, is that I preheat the milk in the microwave, which is, remember, don't do this unless you're, you know, a fanatic or something, or you're really paranoid or want to make it just perfect, because it's a real pain in the neck. And I bring it up to 180 degrees Fahrenheit in the microwave, and then let it cool for like 2 hours to about 110 degrees, and then pour your kefir from the store in, and it makes it really nice, it really thick and beautiful, nice. But you know what? I found out that there's not much of a difference. So what I'll do now is I'll just warm it up in the microwave at a low power level, which I'll tell you quickly more about that, and just get it warm. Bring it up to about 100 degrees, what have you, or warm, lukewarm to your touch if you don't have a thermometer, and then pour your store-bought kefir into there. Just warm it up. Don't heat it up to 180 and kill all the bacteria that would be in there if there's no bacteria in there to begin with. But it just makes a better consistency for one thing. But here's something that people should know. And this is another audio I'll make in the future regarding microwave ovens. They're just, you got to be really careful with microwave ovens, especially certain types. Like the type, there's like, it gets, like if you're heating something in the microwave, let's say the milk, and you want to bring it to 180 degrees, it will give 180 degrees, but when you have it in the microwave, it'll actually go as high as 900 degrees on the surface. I've studied this stuff, and you don't want it to, to bring your milk to 900 degrees because it's dangerous. It can denature it and do all sorts of weird stuff to things, and including your food. So that's why I spend extra money. And when I buy a microwave, I buy the ones with inverter. It's called inverter technology. And a lot of them, they kind of make it look like it's they have different power levels, but that's not the same as an inverter. An inverter brings the volume of the energy down, so you can warm things in the microwave like food and milk or whatever, and it's not going to destroy it and go crazy and just zap it with 1,000-degree temperatures. And so when I heat my kefir milk up in the jar in the microwave, I'll turn it to 40%, and even then, and I'll put it in for about 13 minutes, and it gets it nicely about then. But if you're just putting it in a regular microwave, I wouldn't do it. If you just have a regular microwave, you put it in different power levels. It doesn't matter. If you've got a microwave without the inverter technology, if you put it on 50% heat, it goes full throttle 50% of the time and zaps it up super high, and then it turns off for 50% of the time. And then the microwave goes on. You'll hear it cycle on and off. And that's not good for the milk. It damages in it, and so don't do it. But if you have an inverter technology microwave, it'll have to say right on the front door. Panasonic makes them, and then you put it for lower, and then it heats things up without destroying it. Like even with your food in the microwave, it destroys the food, the molecules in it, because it's understandable. It's just too powerful. And so with the milk, yeah, it's like it gets to 180 degrees, but it's 900 degrees on the surface. So this is really way too long and not necessary to mention this. There's something else I had to mention. I just got to pause this one more time. So okay, yeah, I've come to the end here, and I know this will help you folks. It's been super long, but what are you going to do? I mean, if you're interested in learning about it, then you've got to learn. Sometimes you can't explain things very quickly. It just takes time to listen and to learn. And I'm just looking at some of these other little comments were really sweet, and it kills me to make a long audio, but it's like, thank you, very fast and simple. And this other person says, yeah, excellent, usable information, not too much chit chat. At last, thanks. It's like, yeah, right. I'm just like killing this guy off. He hears me. Yeah, this is like, thanks. It's so quick and easy. Wow. And that's what I wanted to make. That's why I made the video. Is quick and easy, so people that do it. But of course, you're going to run into people who want to learn more, and those who have listened to this are those type of people. And those who are not, you simply shut the video off and go on to your business and ignore this. And so thank you for all the comments. It's very nice, and I got this one here, very nice. I absolutely needed this. Bless your kind heart. Thank you. That just tears me up. I'm just really, thank you. I'm so glad that you're happy, and I just want people to be able to make this stuff And I'm so happy. 7,000 people have seen this video over the years, and now I'm sure there's hundreds of videos out there on how to make kefir from store-bought kefir. At the time, I had to do this research myself, and no one told me how to do this, or I could do such things. And I experimented. I was using, that's another thing with probiotic pills. I better get into this here. And so, you can buy the powdered probiotic pills. I've been taking them for years, and most people have, I'm sure, who are interested in the probiotics. And you can actually make your kefir with those probiotic pills too. And this is, so just listen up if you're interested. If not, listen, those best say goodbye here now. I just want to say thank you for your comments, and I'm so glad I'm helping people out. It's just, but it tears me up that it took me so long to realize that you folks had commented and asked questions, and I was so sick. And I'm 90% better, and I don't want to get into it, but yeah, I'm just glad I can help people to make this. And you tell your friends and tell their friends, and it's a beautiful, wonderful thing to be able to have this, and it makes people so healthy, their stomachs. It helps people, I feel, and so that's great. So now, what was I going to mention here? Oh, geez, I already lost my train of thought. I'm tired. Okay, I'm back. I'm so tired here and screwed up here that I actually forgot what I was going to talk about. After sitting here for 5 minutes, I figured it out. So yeah, it's about making kefir with the pills, the little capsules with the probiotics in it. And so yeah, you can do that. It's a real trick though. It's kind of tricky, and you got to use quite a few of the capsules. Now, another thing I found with those things, they're pretty much dead. I found. Now, I'm not saying they're dead. Don't get me, quote me on this thing, because I mean, maybe scientifically they are active, more so, and have you, but they're not that powerful. Let's just say, as I would like to think, for making kefir. That's a good way to put it. So if you think you can just take one quart of milk and drop a capsule in there, and it'll turn into kefir in a few hours, no way. It just won't happen. What I did to get it going is really tricky, I found anyways. Is I would start it with maybe an ounce or two, a small teeny miniature jar, and you put 2 or 3 capsules in, maybe even 4 capsules into a little, maybe about 2 ounces. Just a small little jar, and start it there, and then you can get it going. And then I pour that into more milk once you get that going. But if you're going to make it out of, like say a quart, you probably have to put about 20-30 pills in there, the powder from them, and that would work theoretically. But who wants to? They're pretty expensive, those little probiotic pills. But they've got lots in them, don't they? They've got 20. Sometimes they're more different probiotics. And so you folks who want to experiment with that, you can go ahead and go do that. That's really cool. I would just say, as I say, put a little, maybe put a little bit of sugar in. Sometimes I put a little, not too much, because you don't want to, it could shock the little guys. And just put in, when they say a little bit, just take a pinch of sugar. If you got 2 ounces of milk, take a little pinch of sugar and put that in there. I found that helps to give them a little extra energy, the little bacteria to get growing. And so that's what you can do there. Okay, so that will be the end of it. And good luck, everybody. And I'm sorry about this audio. I mean, I made it just happily, very quickly. I've got a real garbage microphone here, and I've been holding it I think like a foot from my mouth and 6 inches from my mouth. But if I'm going to wait to make a perfect answer for everybody, it's going to take weeks and months. I just got to wing it, and I got to help people. And if it sounds like